Hey guys, James Diamond here. Welcome back to the next episode of the Trance Takeover here on Sonic Academy. We're getting to the point now where we are able to structure it out, and this for me is one of my favourite parts. I love doing all of the kind of composition and cool technical parts, but this for me is just the most exciting part when all of your hard work really kind of comes together. And like I said in the last episode, we've basically already got the majority of the track done. I think we're going to probably keep this entire intro structure the same, meaning all we need to do is kind of this first section here, and then later on we can do the breakdown, and we've got our drop, and then it's simply a case of copying and pasting. You'll be surprised at how quickly everything can come together. So first of all, what I want to do, if you're an FL Studio user, we go to Tools, we go to Macross, and then go to Lock All Playlist Tracks to Content. We then want to hit no. I don't want to resize because I've got these sized the way I like them. So we hit no. Now what this means now is I don't have to click on a MIDI clip to copy it manually and then paste it in. I can now paste in whatever is on the track. It does come a bit tricky. You still do need to manually copy by clicking and then pasting. And then if I come back here, it will still paste the same one. So you do have to kind of switch between them if you've got different clips on the same pattern. But it's a very, very easy and quick way. So I'm going to be kind of speed running through this because I kind of know exactly what we want to do. And it kind of follows the same structure. Trance is kind of very uniform in the sense of what we do in the intro, particularly the first 32 bars. So the first 32 bars traditionally is for the DJ intro. It's for when the DJ has enough time to mix. And this would generally be about a minute. It used to be quite short. It could be shorter, sometimes much longer. It really depends on how your track flows. In old kind of classic trance, small parts were added at a time. This in nowadays, the sound is a lot thicker. There's a lot more going on. So we don't have the luxury of, say, being able to mix all over here and over here from 49 to 65, as we've got the kind of plucks and the acids and all the kind of atmospheres all kind of coming in. However, that doesn't mean you can't do it yourself. There's no reason why you can't make it a little bit longer. So it's totally up to you, but I'm going to show you what I would say is a kind of, not generic, but a more uniformed kind of way of doing your intro. So we want to start with the kick drum. We want to get the crash in there. Going to copy and paste over the downlifters. We then want to have our bass line, which is going to be filtering in from the start. I'm going to start with the loops, and if you'll notice I'm doing this all up to bar 32. I'm just going to leave this section for the time being. I want to have start of all of our loops. I'm going to bring the clap in at bar 9, some closed hi-hats at bar 13, and then our main hats at bar 17. These are your two kind of sync points. You've got your 0, 0, and then your 17th bar. So here is 0, 27. So 0, 0, you press play, and this is your 16 bar. So, for example, some DJs might want to press play from here and only have 16 bars or 30 seconds worth of mixing. Some will want to have the whole thing. So this is where you want to try and make this not as complex. You want to keep it quite simple, not too many sounds going on. For example, you don't want too many melodic things, because if some DJ wants to mix between different keys, then we don't want too many melodic sounds to kind of ruin that melodic mixing. So let's then grab the second acid line and let's copy that across. And if you haven't noticed, I've set up all of the filter automations for all the different sections, so we don't have to mess around doing that. All we need to do is just manually tweak them. So like I said, we get into the 17th bar. This is going to be our kind of second main point. So I know we want to have our uplifters and then our downlifters. Let's get our snare and our kind of effects in there. I'm going to copy those across to the 32 bar mark. Let's chop out some of the percussion for this section here. I'm just going to chop out the last beat of both, or all the kick. In fact, let's remove the kick, the bass, the percussion, and let's start filtering in the bass. So this is a low pass filter, so we're going to start off low, and we've got the high pass filter on the bass also coming down. So we're not really hearing much of the bass at the start. We then want to take the kick drum and we're going to use a high pass filter, so it starts off nice and thin, and then it comes down to be in full at this section here at your sync point. And then let's grab the atmosphere. In fact, let's grab all of this because it's got the fades. we'll bring the LFO tool. So where the blue one's here, the LFO tool, that is the mix amount of the LFO. So we're going to start this off with not much sidechain and then building up to full sidechain. We're also going to bring the volume down. So as you can kind of see, we're building things up. We're starting off very small. We're building up to the 17th bar. We're going to do the same with the acid. And that is pretty much what we need for the start. So very quick, I know, but let's have a quick listen to this now. There we go. We've got our first 16 seconds. Absolutely perfect. Let's maybe bring down the automation of the sidechain on the uplifters so they become less sidechained. And then on that drop there at 17, we get the sidechain back in. So let's do the same. We're going to bring the uplifters and the downlifters. And now we're going to bring in our nice long white noise one. We're also going to bring in our synthesizer that we worked on a long time ago. Now, for this next kind of section, we're going to have another kind of dropout here, because this is the section where if you were in a DJ mix, you're most likely to have, if you're mixing this track in to the other track mixing out, that one mixing out is still going to have all of its kick drum and all of its percussion playing in full, but we want to kind of then, you might want to blend the two kind of kick drums together and start bringing the other one out. And I like to have this kick drum filtered out and then taken away there, so that as we do the mix over at this point, we get the full kick coming in and it makes it a lot smoother. So as we're kind of doing a reverse of what we did for the first 16, we brought stuff in. Now towards the mix point at 33, 32 bars, we're going to start bringing stuff back out. So we're going to start filtering back down our bass line, and then we're going to do the same with the percussion for the last 4 bars. So in fact, let's just say this is our bass drop here, so we know where we are at all times. And then let's bring this back up. We'll bring the acids over, and we want to drop in with this nice big acid, that Giuseppe Ottaviani kind of style. Let's bring the atmospheres back over, and this just needs to pull back. Wrong one, I think. Yep, this one here. No, that was the right one. Yep, pull that back. And then just to help this mix point again, we're going to take out the kick drum there. We're going to add in our effects kick. So we can see now that we're kind of bringing everything back down. We've got a kind of mini break in the kick drum. Everything comes down, and then we've got the fill, and bang, we come in with the bass line and all the acids and everything. Let's do the same with the mix amount of the LFO tool. So it comes down, so we hear less of the sidechain. And now let's have a listen from here until 32, 33 bars. And of course it would be great if the bass line was in there also. So that's sounding really nice. As you could hear, we were kind of bringing all of the elements out just before we kind of smash them back in again. Let's maybe just reduce the volume of that atmosphere a bit. It is quite heavy at that point, and maybe let's just bring it down in the mix also. So this is the point now that, like I said earlier, we're kind of making small adjustments as we're going on. We will still do a final kind of mix down, but I do quite like to still adjust things at this point. So that's sounding really, really nice. Those acids are coming through very strong and really helping with the kind of drive there. So we want to now work up to here where is going to be the plucks. This is where the plucks are going to come in. So let's get some of the loops going at this point, and then maybe the closed hats. And then again, actually, in fact, let's just completely remove the percussion there, the bass there. Let's get the snare roll going. And then let's get our risers. And then our effects fills. And let's see how that sounds now. Cool, so that's sounding nice. That transition was a little bit weird, so let's try and smooth that off a bit. First of all, I don't think we want these vocals coming in straight away. They feel a little bit too much there. We've also brought down the side chain on the effects there. Let's add in a crash cymbal and a reverse here for the halfway point. So that's where the percussion comes in. I feel like these plucks are probably just a bit too loud. They sounded very kind of harsh when they came in there. So let's just bring those down a little bit more. That's sounding better. Let's bring up those fills just very slightly. They're lacking a little bit as well. Yeah, that's sounding nice. Now let's just add in a new kick roll pattern. Just a double hit at the end. And let's reduce the velocity just slightly. There we go, that's nicer. That helped that kind of transition a lot more. So now the next transition we want to build up to is the chord change. So again, we're going to bring in the crash cymbal here, take away the kick. We've got our lead riser, and yeah, let's start to then bring in the vocal samples here. Yep, sounding good to me. And then let's do a nice kick roll leading up to that chord progression. So we're just going to double up, double and double, and then do a final kick at the end. And we want to take this velocity down quite a lot. These kick rolls can become very strong, so be very careful with that. Let's put a crash here. sounding really nice. I think I went too quiet with the kick roll, so let's just bring that up slightly. Sound really, really good. Let's maybe just pull down the percussion just towards the very, very end. Same with the sub, same with the bass. Yep, sounding really nice. Let's add that double kick roll back in at the very end there. And there we go. We've really got our intro down in absolute no time. Like I said, we had everything pretty much all ready to go. Maybe we can do some more fine tweaks, but realistically, for the point of the course, I'm just wanting to show you how easy it can be to get everything down once you've got all the kind of preliminary work out the way. So we're going to leave it there for this episode. We've basically got the breakdown almost there already. So if we say break starts here, and then we've got our vocals or vocal section here. We can use this vocal section, and then we're going to go into the lead. We're not going to have the drop there, obviously. We're going to extend that over, so we'll sort that out in the next episode. And I'll see you then. All right, cheers out. Bye-bye.